This is the Citroën C4 X, not to be confused with the Citroën C4, which is a completely different model. No, wait, no, it's not. This is actually basically the same car. However, there is one main difference compared to the C4. The French aren't that crazy that they would put two identical cars on the market. So in this video, I will tell you what the main differences between this C4X and the C4. I will tell you all about the exterior, the interior, and we're going to take the car out for a drive. Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. In this video, we have to talk about two things. First of all, what is the main difference between a C4 and a C4X? And second of all, what does the X mean in C4X? Because surely it cannot be a crossover or SUV, because a regular C4 is already a crossover. It already has this plastic cladding around the wheel arches, on the lower part of the body, here as well, and also it's a little bit higher up, just like this car. So basically what the French are telling me is that X means that yes, this is a crossover, but not in the traditional sense. So yes, it is higher up, but this car uses a different body style. It's a little bit of a crossover of different body styles. And the C4 is a hatchback crossover. This car isn't, because this car might look like a regular C4, because the entire front end of the car is basically identical. And actually, up to this point, the entire car is exactly the same as a C4. This is all the same, even the doors, you can just get them off this car and put them on a C4, they will fit. However, the back end design of this car is completely different. You still got the sloping roofline here, however it extends way further back, and like I said, this car isn't a hatchback. So let me just pop the trunk, there you go. This car has a traditional trunk, and so this is not a hatchback, this is a sedan, or rather a crossover sedan, whatever you want to call it nowadays. And like I said, the roofline extends a little bit further back and you got way more overhang on this car, and making this car 24 centimeters longer than a regular C4. And that means that you got way more luggage space here. A C4 has like 360 liters, this car 510. So substantially more luggage space in this car. So that means that this car is better suitable for longer holiday trips with the family. However, if you want to help people move houses, you're better off with the hatchback, because, well, the opening here is a little bit tight. So, you know, you cannot fit like a washing machine in this car, which you actually can in the C4. Now, before we talk about the back end design here, let me just quickly mention that this car isn't that much heavier than a C4, which is a bit surprising because this car is 24 centimeters longer, so you expect it to be a little bit more heavy, but it's not. It's actually only 25 kilos of extra weight, and that is of course because of the hinge system that doesn't weigh that much. This trunk lid just doesn't weigh that much. Also, the mechanism is quite light, and on a hatchback you do get a more heavier mechanism. Talking about the mechanism, it works fine, but I do have to say, if you completely fill up the trunk here with like suitcases and stuff, the hinge will press down when you press down the trunk. So that is something to keep in mind when you go on a longer holiday trip. So let's talk back end design. Like I said, the car is a little bit bigger than a C4, but a little bit smaller than a C5X. But this car has a lot of design elements from the C5X. For example, the X tail lights. And by X, I mean the fact that the tail light on the right side is like an arrow pointing this way, and on that side an arrow pointing that way, and together forming an X shape. I do like the fact that they integrated the Citroën logo on the tail lights, so the double chevron. And on the right tail lights, they point to the right, and on the left, they point to the left. I think that's a nice detail. What is also completely different on this car compared to the C4 is the location of the number plate, which on this car is here on the lower part of the bumper, and on the C4X it is on the trunk lid. On this trunk lid you got Citroën spelled out in full, and the model name is located here on the right side. Now at the moment I'm driving the fully electric version, so this is the e-C4 X. Like I just told you, basically up to here the entire car is just a regular C4. So that means you got the same amount of headroom and the same amount of legroom. What does that mean? Well, I'm 1m80, 180 centimeters, and I'm actually quite comfortable here. I got enough room for my knees, I've got enough headroom, but if I would be a little bit taller, I would definitely not have enough headroom. So that's something to keep in mind. I really like the fact that the back seats are just as comfortable as the front seats. They used a lot of extra foam here on the seats, not just in the front but also in the back, which makes this actually quite a comfortable place to be, as long as you're not too tall. So let's quickly discuss some details here in the back. You got 3 headrests, you got 1 armrest with 2 cup holders, 3 dome lights, which are actually a lot of dome lights. Also a little pocket here behind the seats, 2 air vents, and you got USB-A and USB-C ports here in the back, which is really nice because some people are already using C and some people are still using USB-A. So now you got 2 options. In the interior of the C4 X, there are only a couple of new items, basically 2 new items compared to the C4. You get a brand new infotainment system with a brand new 10-inch screen. This is the screen that you also get in the C5 X, and it's a very nice screen to look at. And there's a lot of compute power, so that means that if you open a menu, it basically opens instantaneously, which is just really nice. And it is really nice in general that cars in this segment now also get enough chips on board so that you won't get annoyed by your infotainment system. Now, if you're planning to buy a regular C4, so let's say the hatchback version, you may want to wait a couple of months, maybe even a year, because in the regular C4 they will also implement this new system, the new screen and the wireless charger as well. Now the rest of the interior is basically identical to a regular C4 interior. So you got the same steering wheel, you get the same buttons here, a lot of physical buttons by the way, a lot of push buttons, a lot of round dials. I really love that. And you also got the same glove box and the same tray table here. Well, not really a tray table, but let's say a tray. You can just pop it out and then you can put an iPad on there, which is a nice feature, I'd say. Let's talk drivetrains. You can get this car with regular diesel and petrol engines, but in Europe they got big plans for this e-C4 X, the fully electric version. The cars that they are selling with petrol and diesel engines, they mostly are gonna sell in the Middle East, where they also got big plans for this car, but just with petrol and diesel engines. The e-C4 X has a 50 kilowatt-hour battery that provides a range of 360 kilometers. This car can fast charge up to 100 kilowatts, and then you can charge the battery up to 80% in about a half an hour if you get the right charger. The electric motor has 136 horsepower, which is plenty for a car this size. This is not the fastest EV out there, but this is definitely no slouch. It will do 0 to 60 miles an hour, 0 to 100 kilometers in 9.5 seconds, which is plenty. And especially the first couple of meters, this car is actually pretty fast off the line. I would say faster than most gas-powered cars. Now this car is all about comfort. This car is not about sporty driving. Just like the back seats, there's a lot of comfort here on the front seat. These are one of the best seats out there. If you want to have better seats, you should probably buy a Rolls-Royce. And the ride of this car is the same as the seats, meaning very soft. You should definitely not push this car. This car is not meant for sporty driving, but the ride is pretty good. I wouldn't say phenomenal, but it is very comfortable. I personally really love it because all European cars are really hard and this car definitely isn't. So especially for your daily commute or long distance traveling, this is just a very nice car to have. Now there's one thing that you really should keep in mind, and that this car will get a bigger battery in the nearish future, and it will be a slightly bigger battery. It will be 4 kilowatt hours bigger. They just developed that battery at Stellantis, which is the owner of Citroën, and they didn't finish it in time for this car, I guess. So this car still has the old battery. I think the car will get it in around 1.5 year-ish. Don't pin me on that, but I'm guessing 1.5 year. So that car will get a range of 400 kilometers instead of 360 in the current version. So if you're not in a hurry to buy a new car, you might want to wait for the new bigger battery. So that's it for this video. If you liked it, why not consider subscribing? And also don't forget to give this video a thumbs up. Thanks for watching and see you in the next one.